So last night, when I was sat on the sofa learning about AI automation, I was thinking, I'm so grateful that I can actually sit here, not in pain, not have any toilet urgencies, and able to live like a normal life again. And I was just thinking how grateful I were, the fact that I managed to come up with a solution of being healed, being the person who has actually come out the other side, not on medication, not eating boring, bland foods because that's what the doctor told me to eat or that's what other people advised me to eat. No, I'm actually sat there enjoying life with more energy than I've ever had in my life, feeling absolutely amazing and not shitting my pants. So this video is just about how I went about getting into remission and just basically helping you guys to do the same. Feeling grateful, feeling honoured that I can actually be here. Nice car going past, and actually showing you that there is a way to heal. So top link in the description is my 90-day program if you want it. Now what I did when I first started healing, I just learned about the carnivore diet. Now that is a great way to start, but doing the carnivore diet for someone with IBD and someone doing it for say arthritis or doing it for maybe just losing weight is totally different than people with IBD. And the reason I say that is because you've got to be extra sensitive when it comes to like healing for IBD, because our most of the trauma that comes from obviously what actually caused it ends up in our bowels. So people who are just maybe doing like losing weight, they haven't really got any trauma to heal, whereas we do. So what I did was learn the techniques from German New Medicine, which actually got me into that last final bit of remission. The carnivore diet itself was amazing for, I don't want to say symptom management because that's what medication's for, but actually healing my bowels in the sense that there was no more irritants going through it. So I ended up eating just obviously beef, and then end up in the trap of just only eating beef, which wasn't what I wanted. I literally had no symptoms with UC, but I was still getting other symptoms that I didn't understand, which then that's when German New Medicine come into it. So what I started to do is obviously create a course, and I put it all into how it was the final stages to actually becoming healed. What I recommend to people to do is to sit down and figure out what the traumatic event were, because if you don't know that, then you'll be in something that German New Medicine calls, which is active conflict stage, which is basically where you have triggers that keep going off, that keep causing symptoms. And until you get into the active healing phase, you'll always constantly just keep having symptoms, or you'll feel like you're healing, and then it'll stop, then it'll come back. And then, so figuring out what the stress, like the traumatic events were. For me, it was because my ex-missus left me in bed with obviously my 5-month-old daughter in her bed, and we were just basically none the wiser, and it was like a massive traumatic shock. So then it was about, I've been trying to work out the timeline, it must have been about 12 months, then that's when I started to actually heal, because that's when my symptoms started. So that's another good thing about learning about German New Medicine, is realising that the symptoms that you have aren't actually like bad, they are good. It's showing your body is actually healing. This is when you start getting fatigue, you may get urgency, you'll get blood. This is where you'll get like joint pain, maybe a few pressure headaches. You'll basically feel like you're getting worse. So there's a nice thing for you. So when you start healing, you'll realise that you start to get a bit worse and you think, oh, why is this happening? But it's actually all normal. So there's another car coming. So then, obviously this is the first stage of the 90-day protocol, because I think this is the most important, because we've already been led down the path of trying to follow all other shitty advice, where it's just like, eat this, try to do this, try to do that. But this is actually going into the depths of why you got it, because at the end of the day, alright Les, at the end of the day, if you don't heal the trauma, you'll never heal your IBD. It's as simple as that. So then once you've got obviously down to that, you can start figuring out what food triggers you've got, because what's the most common thing that you do? As soon as you eat a food and you need to go to the toilet, urgent, you're like, oh no, I shouldn't have eaten that. That there's caused me to have diarrhea. But what's actually happened is you've had a thought about that previous trauma or something that has triggered something to go off. So it could have been a smell, it could have been a sight, it could have been, someone's name, something, anything that could have triggered this. But in fact, what you've done is blamed it on the food. So then you're sat there only eating bloody carrots, mushy as hell, a little bit of rice, and that's it, because that's all you said you can stomach. But that's not the case. So you figure out what the food triggers are. So then when you start, obviously after a couple of days, you want to start the carnivore diet, because the carnivore diet, in my opinion, is like the glue that sticks everything together. Because if you're using the carnivore diet, it will literally remove all irritants out there. So it makes sure that as you're healing from the traumas, your bowels are healing as well. So you'll be eating things like gelatin, which helps soothing your bowels, which helps basically with your gut lining. Then you've got obviously the meat, which has got all the proteins in it. When you're losing loads of old skin from inside your intestines, which is where all the blood and stuff comes from, you want proteins in there to rebuild it. Then you got the saturated fat, which keeps you fuller, it gives you more energy, it basically just heals you from the inside out. It's busy this morning. So you've started on the trauma and you started to heal that. Then you started on the carnivore diet, which is basically then healing on the inside out. Then after the first month of doing that, you then decide to move on to the second month, which is adding in other foods. Because for the first 30 days, this is where you basically just want to eat plain beef. So just beef only for 30 days. This will give you the best chance of healing, because at the end of the day, in fact you'll notice after about 7 to 10 days that your bowels are in a lot better state. So you put a little bit of salt on it, a bit of beef, hey presto, for the next 30 days, because that is the most healing, most nutritious food that there is on the planet. Now, I don't care what other people say, you can literally survive just on beef alone forever. And that's like eating nose to tail, none of this just like steaks. If you're eating like nose to tail, you're eating obviously every part of the cow, always got different parts of vitamins and minerals, everything else. Try and find another food source that you can do that. All you vegans out there, you tell me, you honestly tell me, what one food source could you only eat that will actually make you survive and thrive? Because there isn't anything out there. That's why we eat beef, because it is so nutrient packed and it is so good. Anyway, digress. Then that's when you go into obviously month 2. This is when you start adding foods back in. Now the reason you want to start adding foods back in now is because you don't want to get to the point where you're thinking, oh well, I can only eat beef now for the rest of my life. No, what you do is you work through the food tracks that you've been working out for this last 30 days, what you've been on beef. You kind of think to yourself, I wonder what foods I'm most safest with. So you kind of think back to, right, what other animal products was I safe with? For me, I thought chicken, because that was the best next thing for me. So the first thing I added back in was chicken. Found out, okay, that's fine. Did chicken the next day, fine again. The following day, I thought, you know what, this is amazing. I'm going to go to eating pork belly. So I ate pork belly and butter. No symptoms, no nothing. And I thought, no, this has got to be, this has got to be fluke. Then I went and got some raw milk, and hey presto, I could literally eat any animal product I wanted, which then got me to a point of where I was like, you know what, this is amazing. I feel absolutely amazing. I'm just going to keep doing this. I have been obviously carnivore for over 2 years, so it was August 18th, 2023. And now I'm still carnivore and I'm absolutely loving it. I don't want to go to eating anything else. So anyway, after the second month of adding all the foods back in, so you do a couple of days of adding something and you think, okay, that's not too bad, I'm not getting any symptoms. So the symptoms could be not even necessarily bowels, because that's one of the main things. You're like, oh, well, I'm not shitting, but you might have other symptoms. So you eat something and then you might have a bit of pressure, headache, you might have a bit of joint pain, you might feel a bit weird. But that's not necessarily because the chicken or whatever you're eating is bad. It's because you still haven't resolved the food tracks around it. If you don't resolve the food track, you are subconsciously thinking, or it's there, saying, oh, I hope I don't react. I hope this doesn't cause issues. And you're causing these triggers that are going off, because that's the only explanation for these symptoms. It's not because what you're eating is bad, because your body knows how to digest it, it knows how to love it, but because your thoughts are telling you otherwise, your body puts you into fight and flight mode. And as soon as you do that, that's it then. You might as well just give up, because at the end of the day, it's never going to come out of that until you heal them traumas. Now, the third month is about designing your life to be most optimal. This is where you optimize your sleep. This is where you optimize, obviously, your rest. This is optimizing your work. This is optimizing everything, because at the end of the day, if you aren't optimizing everything, things can start creeping in, start making you feel worse, and you think, well, I'm doing this, but I don't feel any better. Birds are noisy this morning, aren't they? So that's basically the 3 months that I've got for the protocol. Now I'll go into a lot more depth, and if you obviously really want to heal and you want to get back to being a normal life again, then it is the top link in the description. And if you've got any questions, put in the comments below. I'm just going to go and sort the chickens out, if I can find the key to the gate, and go and give them their breakfast. That's it for today. I'll see you in the next one.